Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the world building series. Today I'm going to be building an orcish ranch because I am in desperate need for a food source in this world. Which, by the way, welcome back. I haven't played Minecraft in over 7 months because I actually celebrated the birth of my firstborn and just haven't had much time to play and record videos. But I think that's one of the beauties of a forever world. You can kind of do your 2-week Minecraft phase, or you can quit for a while and come back to a beautiful world that you can pick up where you left off. But since we've been gone, there's been 3 different game drops actually, and one of them is the Spring to Life drop, which added quite a few things to this mesa biome that we're in. Look at all this brand new foliage in the Badlands. The dry grass really does add a nice little touch. I wish they did add those little tumbleweeds that they talked about, I think, a long time ago, but I guess we can't ask for everything. Oh, but look at the grass. It looks so very nice. We've got this one's the large one and this is a small one, and I do believe that you need shears to pick them up. I don't think, yeah, okay, yeah, so you need shears to pick up the grass. Now the question is, can you bone meal it? Ah, yes, you can. But you can't bone meal the actual floor, which I guess makes sense. That's kind of nice though, because now all we have to do is gather just a handful and then we can kind of bone meal the dry grass to kind of add some dry grass to this general area. Since I didn't reset these chunks, they have none of the new generation, which is not the biggest deal since it's really just the dry grass. And then also I need some cactus flower, which I do want to go find and gather some up. I feel like it should have been much easier to find this cactus. I've traveled like throughout this entire Badlands biome and finally found one cactus with one cactus flower on it, which is kind of a shame, but it's all good. I guess I don't want to break the flower because then the cactus might destroy it. Bam. Cactus flower. I feel like it would have been a cool idea for the cactus flower to actually have cactus fruit, like I had said before. But what can I say? I feel like there's no food source in the Badlands, and like I've seen 0 cows. Ooh, a desert town. I guess we may as well do a little bit of exploring over there. Rolling in a bit past sundown, so look at that beautiful sun go down on that Badlands landscape. Sir, where is your head? Oh, so there's actually a desert temple right next to the village. This is like probably one of the smallest desert biomes I've seen. It's just kind of sandwiched in between all this badland here. But I guess we will take a quick peek-see. Now, I do know that there is like a blow-up thing down there. And I haven't actually played in this. I haven't actually done this in survival. I haven't even touched this before. So I want to make sure that there's no spawns in this area, because I do know that's a whole thing in itself. Oh. Okay, it didn't explode. Good. Good. And it should be as easy as that. That's all diffused now, I do believe, which is very nice. We got some free TNT, which is excellent if I had space. All right, so we got bones. Don't really care. We've got aqua affinity and a golden apple. Not too bad. I might just leave it here for now. More golden apple, a diamond armor for the horse. Very cool. And okay, so not the greatest. We got a saddle, which is actually pretty good because we are, in a Wild West area. But before we start working on the ranch, I want to come back to our general store because we got a really cool comment from Unibrow Sheep Z talking about the linguistics of orcs. So basically, for the linguistics of an orc, their English might not be the best. And since this is a Wild West town, it is not exclusive to the orcs. There would probably be a lot of wild men, a lot of... okay, maybe not wild men. Let's take that back. a lot of just rugged people coming through here, not exclusively orcs. So maybe some orcs, goblins, some rugged dwarves, whatnot, that would come down to this frontier town in the Badlands. But because of that, that's why their store would have English, but their English might not be the best. So maybe instead of saying things like fresh fruit, they would say something like frez fruit, like that. They'd have pretty poor spelling. And then something like meat would be spelled like meat. And then newspaper, maybe like newspap. But there you go, a pretty fun little spin on English orc linguistics. It does add a little bit to the world building there too. It kind of makes sense that, you know, they can't speak properly because maybe their tusks are kind of blocking their mouth, and it makes certain words hard to pronounce, or certain letters hard to pronounce in English. But I think that was a very fun touch. So thank you, Unibrow Sheep Z, for that wonderful comment. All right, so we have the Tusk Stone Gate over in that direction, and then we've got our beautiful Mesa Mountain. And then coming over here, I think we'll have our ranch. So I think what we'll do is we're gonna have this little flat spot right here. We're gonna cover this little rift right here. And then the ranch will be this whole section right there. And then the pathway will kind of come through here and go back towards the town. That way, when you're kind of like, if I ever come here by horse, by foot, there's a point of interest right here, which will be very fun. But of course, with every project, we need some resources. Resources that I don't have. So let's go grab some. So we headed back to the dwarven city of Ashgrund and gathered some wood that we had in our chests, headed to our wool farm to grab some brown wool, and gathered some coarse dirt nearby at the wooded Badlands. All right, so we've got a little base of operations here. We've got a few things. We've got a bunch of coarse dirt, granite, stuff that you can put on the floor for the flooring of the floor. Then we've got a bunch of wood types that we will be using for the barn and the farmhouse. And then we've got a bunch of stone types here that we might or might not use. I'm not too sure how to go about this yet. But yeah, since we've got all the materials, let's get working. The first thing we decided to do is to clear up some space so that we have a clean slate to work with. And then we filled in the gaps in the floor with a bunch of terracotta. All right, now that we have a flat surface, I think it's important for us to now build a little growing field so that we can actually get some crops grown before we build this thing. All right, well, that's all the seeds and potatoes we have at the moment, so that will have to suffice. But by the time we're done with building this stuff, we'll have more than enough wheat to breed the cows, and we'll have plenty of potatoes to eat as well. We started laying out the ranch by building some animal pens with spruce fences, and then built a classic ranch entryway with a longhorn skull adorned to the top. We've got the entrance to the ranch here with that classic longhorn cow skull. But aside from that, we've also got 3 pens. We've got this big pen right here. I'll probably be storing my cows there. And then we've got a little entranceway here to kind of usher in the animals while being able to secure them. This one will maybe be for something bigger. I think the orcs would benefit from having larger animals, so things like maybe a sniffer I can put in here. And then we've got this side lot here, another side pen, and this one would maybe have some things like horses. And then we will also have some pig sties and like a chicken coop back there once we build this farmhouse. All right, and that is the orc farmhouse complete. We've got quite a nice structure, I would say. We've got a nice crimson roof with some dark oak trim. And then we also use campfires to help give a little detail to this little patio trim. But the main structure itself uses a lot of stripped oak and oak planks to help give it that kind of that washed wooden look. And then we use some stone to make the chimney. But one of the most defining features of the Orcish Wild West is the utilization of bones. I like to think that the orcs are doing kind of like a measuring contest, to put it simply. Basically, they use the bones of their slain beasts or things that they've hunted. And the orcs would use the largest carcass or the largest skeleton of the beast that they've slain and use it in their architecture to kind of flex on all their neighbors, saying that, yo, I killed this massive beast. Can you one-up me? So I imagine it's some type of a status symbol notifier. Like, oh, he killed big beast. Amazing. I do still need to come back and actually texturize the bones. All right, the next part of this ranch we have to build is a livery. So a livery is actually where people will store their horses long term. So since we're slightly out of the main town right here, I imagine people would drop their horses off, make their way into town, or like if they have to kind of house their horses for a while, they'd be able to house their horse in the livery. Alright, so the livery is now complete. Looks pretty good. We used a lot of the regular wood instead of the stripped wood for this one, so it's a lot darker in comparison, but I think it looks pretty good. And then we also got this nice little pathway coming in. So you kind of just ride up to the livery if you need to drop off your horse. It's so livery is kind of basically like a horse daycare, kind of. You just drop off your horse. Whoever owns this ranch here takes care of your horse, and then you go about your way. Or I think sometimes they could also rent them. I'm not sure if that's an actual thing, but if you need a horse, maybe you can kind of rent one from. We had to use a lot of trap doors in order to make this roof incline pretty smooth right there. But then we've got these little bone parts again, per usual, for the orcish architecture. And then these are supposed to be kind of like, it's kind of just like wrapping the, like securing the bone onto the roof. I don't know. I think it looked kind of good. Oh, forgot my crafting table right there, but that's okay. And then since there's like a door here, normally the trap doors is the door. Sometimes things can't get in properly. So they have this little lift here that you can lift up products and then bring it inside. So if you come inside, we've got a little interior for the livery. So you'd be able to bring in like equipment or items that are too big to enter through the front door, which the front door is larger than that, but that's okay. You just drop off your little horsey right here. Try to get out of there, buddy. And then, yeah, just drop off your horse, and then they take care of them with some hay and some water in there. That's not in there yet, but there will be. And then the farmhouse, I didn't do an interior yet, but I did add some flooring for the second floor and a staircase going up. So I will have to decorate this. Let me know if you have any ideas on how to decorate this. Now, the signage for the livery is quite messed up. I had to do 2 letters per sign. So this was the best I could do. Obviously, some of the letters are not fully straight, like that E and that R, but it's the best I could do. Normally, I copy and paste them onto one sign each, and one letter will be on one sign, but I couldn't do it for this one since it was an even number, so it would have looked kind of odd. But now we gotta sleep, so going into the interior of the farmhouse, there's absolutely nothing right now, but we've got one bed, and then we did add a flooring on the top here with, as well as a staircase going up. But we can decorate the interior in this episode, or maybe I'll do it another episode, but we'll see. All right, but this front little area right here is still a little barren, so I do want to add a few more bones popping up and also turn it into like a light post. So we're gonna have some little ribs or like little bone juts just coming out here. But I got all my white pale oak stuff here, and we're gonna see what we can come up with. So if we come here, so I think we'll have like a little lighting here. So if we do a staircase here, ba-bam, and then maybe something like this. Yes, I think that looks pretty good. Something like that. Maybe this. Maybe something like this. Nice. And then we can put a lantern. I don't think that looks too bad. Yeah, I think that doesn't look too bad. So it's like a little nice little lamppost using a bone once again. So we can try to do another few, like one right here, kind of make it uneven. And then we'll just do another light post here. Let's see, maybe calcite for this one. We got a diorite wall, so maybe we could try to switch this one up a little bit. Now, a nice little trick you can do with these little walls here is you can connect a fence gate with them, and then I'll give you this little segment right here, and then bam, and then we can put the lantern on, but it adds like a nice little shape to it. So bam. This one's not bad either, huh? Let's see, maybe this will help add a little more curvature. And then maybe... Ah! That looks pretty good too, actually. What the heck? Alright, let me know. Which one do you like more? So there's this bone right here. I mean, I can have them... I can have different ones. I think it'll be fine since, you know, not all bones are similar shape, but let me know which one you prefer though. There's this one right here, and then there's this one right here. With the farmhouse and livery complete, it was time for us to gather some animals to stock our animal pens. And to help with that, we updated to 1.20.8 for the improved lead changes, which helped make the animal gathering process a lot easier because leads were now craftable and the leashing distance was increased. All right, we got cows into the animal pens here, and we've also got some pigs that I don't actually have any carrots to breed them, so I've only got 2 at the moment. And we've also wrangled a few horsies. This one's kind of gonna be kind of a pen for the horses to kind of roam around in. And then in here we've got a few more that I do want to eventually start breeding them up to get a faster horse. Savannah here is great. I don't know what happened to her name, but she's not exactly the fastest horse, so eventually I do want to come back and breed some horses up. But now I've got this pig pen here, and I'm not really sure I want to keep the pigs, actually. I think I want to do a sniffer in this one. And kind of the reason why I had this like 3 wide door in the first place was to hoard some sniffers in here. I think for an orcish race, sniffers would kind of make sense for something they would be able to breed and kind of raise and ranch and animal husbandry stuff. So I think I want to go grab some suspicious sand and see if I can find a sniffer egg. All right, so let's see what we got in here. I've actually already been here before. I've already stolen the loot down there, But we've already got suspicious sand here. I've never actually done this. Okay. So it's a right click. What was that? Okay, my inventory is a mess already. I have I have no idea what I received from that. We continued raiding desert temples with no luck, so we eventually went out to the warm oceans in search for some ocean runes. And after raiding many ocean runes and dying to drown a few times, we finally got ourselves a sniffer egg. Alright, I just spent 2 hours, 2 whole hours looking for a sniffer egg, and unfortunately, I guess sniffer eggs are pretty rare because I only got one. I've got a shulker box here with some of the loot that we acquired, but maybe the large biomes might not be good for this. I don't know, but I could not find a sniffer egg for the life of me. I did manage to get one, but I also did manage to get some armor trims. So when I eventually get the netherite stuff, I can actually trim my stuff. I don't really care too much about it, but there's that. And we did also get some pottery shards, so that will be nice for decorating later on. I don't think you can actually duplicate them. I mean, maybe you can. If you can, that'd be great, because I don't think I really want to continue looking for a sniffer egg. It was pretty miserable taking 2 hours of time trying to find these things. And, you know, I just came back from a long break, and one of the things I don't want to do is burn out doing things that I don't enjoy. Look at this. What is this? Particles. Is this part of the new update, or is this one of my mods? It adds quite a nice ambience to the Badlands, though. All right, but we've got our sniffer egg here, and I think we gotta wait a little while for it to hatch, so we're just gonna plop it down here, and hopefully it will hatch. Actually, I do believe if you get a moss block, it should also help it hatch a little quicker. Bam. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the moss block helps, I think it reduces the time it hatches. But for the meantime, we will have one sniffer egg until I have it in me to try to find another sniffer egg so that I can get a mating pair with it. So over here, I've been farming some cactus flower because I'm going to be using the cactus flower for one of our new builds for this area. We're going to be using it for our trees. And the cactus flower is kind of annoying to farm because it has a very low chance to spawn on these one tall block cactus, and then I think it increases every time from 2 to 3. But at a certain point, it stops developing the cactus flower. So I have been manually farming those cactus flowers, and we've gotten ourselves a little half stack right here, 35 cactus flower. And so the build we're going to be doing with the cactus flower is actually a tree. So we've got this area right here where I don't have anything yet, but I'm thinking I'm going to have a tree here, and then we're going to also have a little chicken pen built right in this corner. And so the tree that we're going to be building is a different tree, a tree that I've never seen built in Minecraft, and that is the Joshua tree that you can find in certain parts of Southern America, or rather, Southern USA to be exact. So for the Joshua tree, we're going to go for a brownish trunk, which might not be the greatest since everything here is brown, but that is the most similar to what the actual Joshua tree actually looks like. So we're going to be using a lot of brown blocks. So we've got packed mud, granite, mud brick walls, granite walls, and then a bunch of other mud stuff. And then dripstone as well. We could use that potentially, but we will see if I decide to use that. And then, of course, we've got to use our cactus flower. While we waited for the sniffer egg to hatch, we decided to build a tree. And in this case, a very unique tree that you can find in southern parts of America, the Joshua tree. And there we have it. We've got a Joshua tree here. I've never seen anyone build one of these, so this is my take on a Joshua tree. I think the cactus flowers do a pretty good job to act like those frills that you find on like dry climate trees. They are a little pink, unfortunately. They're a little it's a little saturated. They're kind of too bright, but I think it still looks pretty okay for what we've got. And then we've got these little pots right here to add a little bit of that little frill as well. Unfortunately, it's not too large of a frill. We've got the oak sapling and the dry bush, whatever, that dead bush. But yeah, so we went with a lot of browns. So we use mud bricks, granite, and then the wall variants. And then just to add a little more shape, we did add the spruce fence gates that connect to the walls. And then we did a little swing right here. But you know, it's not the craziest tree, but it's a very unique tree, and I think it's a good addition to the Badlands. And then over here we have a little egg farm. It's not gonna be very productive. We've only got 3 chickens in there at the moment, and unfortunately we only have 2 hoppers going in, so they would have to lay their eggs on those 2 spots specifically. But oh geez, okay. But this chicken coop is in the classic orcish style. We've got the crimson wood, little bits of red, lots of browns, and then also the little bony bits with the pale oak gates. So pretty nice. And then I'll have a bunch of free roaming chickens once I breed them up a little more. But since then, oh wow, okay. It's been a while apparently, because this turned into an adult. It was a baby not too long ago, but I did not come take a video with baby sniffer. But now we've got a large sniffer here. Now I do want a breeding pair with him, so eventually I will try to find another sniffer egg. But at the moment, that's what we got. Now if he can find me some torch flowers, that would be very nice. Ayo, chill. No crossbreeding over there. I'm thinking it might be a good idea to make multiple ranches in the future. Like this one will be maybe just a cow ranch. And then since like this is my orc Wild West, I can have a few more ranches around. And so whenever I need some like beef or leather, I come to the cow farm. And then if I want some pigs and pork chops and stuff like that, I go to the pig ranch. And then if I want some sniffer stuff, I go to a sniffer ranch. But at the moment, we're just gonna combine them all into this area. Now, before we finish this episode, I do wanna add a few more details. Things like a water trough, maybe. So, hey, excuse me. So we add things like a water trough here, and we just do a very simple one with some trap doors. And then we can't let them leave, so we gotta do it like this. Water there, and water there. Bam. So water trough, okay. Oh, well, apparently this is not a good spot to do this. Gotta do a little bit of wrangling here. Then we gotta add some piles of food, and I think hay will have to do for everybody. This one I'll add like a larger hay stack for the sniffer. And then we can take down some of these fences and turn them into jungle fences. That way it kind of has like this worn out look, and that they've replaced certain parts of the fence. And last but not least, we need to give this ranch a suitable name. And I think we're gonna go with Marrow Ranch. Marrow as in like bone marrow. Anyways, that is the end of this episode. If you liked the episode, do leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.